All right. All righty. Mm-mm-mm. Where we at? Where we at, people? Where we at? All right. What's going on, party people? Your man Griff. I got some time here before I have to go catch up with the wife and everything. And hop over yonder. All right. All right. Now I just let all the party people get in. What's going on, DeAndre? What's up, my man? All right. All right, all right. What's going on? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. What I got to talk to y'all about tonight. Um whew, that's why I'm trying to wait for people to get on up in here. Yeah. And I even pulled out my eggnog. So gotta shake my eggnog up. Got my glass. So gotta get my squig on. You know what I'm saying? I know you're a newbie, man. I know you're a newbie. And I'm gonna talk about that too. I'm gonna talk about that. So we using the StreamYard, and let me throw the StreamYard link up there. So if anybody wanna hop on, and man, that eggnog is good. That's why I gained a little pounds. I told you I gain weight when I drink too much eggnog and I eat too many macadamia nuts. I really do. So let me slide in the StreamYard link. So if anybody want to hop on and ask some questions and everything, what's going on, Roderick Sanders? Sanders, my man. What's going on? What's going on? All right, this is the first live with me, Miss Adele. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Now let me, for the people who keep fussing at me about having my phone making noise and stuff and me getting orders and making money, I will put my phone on mute or vibrate and everything. But I can't guarantee you that I won't be distracted by said device. All right. All right. All right. What's going on, Shantae? Yeah, first live. Okay, okay. Yeah, this is sort of an impromptu. Don't start yet. Got to take out the trash. Go ahead on, take out that trash. Take that trash out. Go ahead on. Go ahead on. Go ahead on. Go ahead on. Yeah. So yeah. So feel free to share. Let all the rest of the party people know. For those of you who was on Clubhouse, egg noodles, you mean eggnog? Yeah, this company for eggnog, it's called Homestead Creamery. Um, man, they're out of Burnt Chimney, Virginia. Out there in Burnt Chimney, Virginia. Um, their eggnog is the best to me. Come in the glass, all of that. Yeah, this is what I think 64. This is the gallon. So yeah, I've been squigging on this all week long and everything. So this time of the year, I throw down. So probably during Thanksgiving time, they start throwing back up, throwing that eggnog out there. And I love it. I love it. The missus, when me and her first got married, I was drinking some eggnog, not this brand, but just a different one. and she thought I was getting drunk because for her growing up, you would see people doing eggnog with liquor in it. And so she thought because I was drinking eggnog, I was getting drunk. I'm not getting orders because I haven't switched over my commission to Texas. What's going on, my man? There he is. Caprentice. That man, he's tearing it up out there in California, and he working full time. Everything. So yeah, in the process of getting it back on. All right, all right. So yeah, you was on Clubhouse yesterday. Look, I'm just going to say this here. Look, I was not saying that people should not be making money, or black women shouldn't be making money, or anybody shouldn't be making money. What I was saying out there on Clubhouse was that we should not be trying to take advantage of people just to make money. Um, hey, happy Thursday to you, Akita. Thank you. And now I can't do the brandy, man, but I'm familiar with it. The wife thought I was getting lit and everything. She thought I was getting lit. She thought I was getting straight up lit. But yeah, I already know that somebody might have misconstrued something that I said out there. And I wasn't trying to say that people shouldn't make money. What I was saying is that we can't keep taking advantage of people. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people within our family, within our community, that tends to take advantage of each other, you know. And I don't like that, and I try to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm doing things right and exact. Um, and I'm gonna try to talk about a couple of different topics tonight and everything, real quick, like, but when you have in your mind and heart to do things a certain way, and somebody speaks differently about that or points out something, it may seem like they're trying to block you or stop you. They're just bringing their own perspective. That's all it is. And that's all I was doing, was sharing my perspective of what I was seeing based off and what I was learning based off of people telling me. People was straight up telling me that they was getting taken advantage of by other people who looked like them and who had the same gender as them. So that's a problem. That's a problem in everything. But back to why I hopped on here tonight. We got about 40 people up in his house. So man, today I had a conversation with a person that's a scheduler, signing company, all of that good stuff. And hold on. Wait a minute. All right. I'm confused. If Patricia is out there, hop on if you want the link to join. I don't understand your comment that you just left. Don't take this wrong. You get in the tub. Please look at yourself in the mirror. Please. You were my notary person, and look like you. I don't understand. I really don't understand that comment that you just left up there, Patricia. I really don't. I'm not following. I'm really not following that. I don't know if she's on here or not, but it was something else. I don't understand what she was. Honestly, I don't understand what she was saying. I really don't. All right. So if she hops on, she can let me know what she was saying. But yeah. So I was talking to them, and I was doing the signing for the company, and there was some things that was, I had to get straight, and we got everything, all of that together. So, man, we started talking about signing agents, us. And what she was saying was that because it was about talking about why people aren't getting orders. And they informed me that some of the platforms are now, they have the option, the signing company now has the option to select who they want to pick based off of the number of signings you have done. So it says how many signings you've done when you do stuff on SnapDocs and when you do stuff on signing order. I'm sure it's like we're on CX. Yes, it's on CX Choice and all this, that, and the other. So that means they can filter based on how many orders you have done. And where the problem and reason why they're doing this is because there have been a lot of, right, Sharon, don't take advantage of the next person's weakness. They're doing this because so many notaries have been lying about their background and their experience, level of experience. I think I mentioned that recently, and one of the things that I heard about was that in certain Clubhouse groups, and that's why I was real iffy about getting back on Clubhouse. And when I talked with Lori, she told me that's not how they are, and I was like, great. But I've heard myself, as well as people have told me, that in some Clubhouse groups, as well as Facebook, and it started really on Facebook, that notaries are telling each other to lie about their background. Well, as you've heard me say over and over and over, what up, party people? What's going on, Christina? As you've heard me say over and over, Facebook, Clubhouse, TikTok, Instagram, all of these places got snitches. There are probably even some snitches up in here. They got snitches. They got people that's watching, and then they gonna go tell, like, yeah, that Sandy C, they were saying this, that, and the other, and then Akita was also giving them thumbs up. So they snitching on us. So you go out here talking some smack, talking about, well, yeah, if you want to get with, BankServe, say you did, you've done 75 signings. If you want to get with Service Link, say you did this and that. And they're telling people that, and they're finding out that people are lying. So now what they're saying is, okay, you got to have a certain number of orders. Not sure why I don't get it. Well, Paula, one of the things is how many orders you got, and they don't feel like talking to people. That's what they told me. They're not trying to talk to people. Either you got the criteria or you don't. That's what it's coming down to now. They're like, because of so many notaries out there doing so much bad stuff, so they can now filter out, instead of normally it was, and y'all been told by a lot of notary trainers, oh, we don't worry about reading your profile, we go by your how close you are to the order. So if you're within, the same zip code, or one zip code over, or 15 minutes or 10 miles, that's who everybody get the order. Now they're like, nah, only send this out to people who got 150 orders. Only send this out to people who got 200 orders. I think they may be able to filter and say, I'm going to send this out to notaries that got, that's been active over the last 6 months. This is part of the reason why I kept begging y'all, just take orders and get your numbers up. Because one of the things that I know is that if you have at least 100 signings, the chances of you getting selected is greater. The other side of that is you also can't be messing up stuff. So you got three things, I believe, maybe four, three things you got to have in place. Well, four. One, your profile got to be straight. I always suggest that your profile. I've been told, and I haven't seen, and I'm going to look for it, but I haven't seen, but I've been told that some notaries out there just have in their profile updated later, to be updated later. So they ain't even take time out to update their profile. And then y'all know I've shown y'all different profiles, and profiles just say, I'm a new notary. I have a printer. I'm good. I understand the loan docs. They just this very vague thing. So your profile got to be straight. Then you got to have some signings under your belt. Then you can't be a bad notary. You got to do the notarizations correctly. And then fourth, you can't be trying to hem them up for all this extra money. I've been told that there's notaries out there who do a fantastic job. They get the signings done, and next thing you know, they're asking for more money right off the bat. They're like, okay, well, I want 175. And some of these companies are paying 125. This particular company pays 125. There's others that pay, and these are signing companies. This ain't direct. They're paying 75. Tonight, I had to pass on a $175 order because it was during the time that I'm already scheduled to do a house inspection. So I missed out on that. Now, at the same time, I did one earlier for that same company today. So I win some, I lose some. I just keep, plugging away. That's why I said earlier, if I wasn't doing the house inspection stuff, I would be doing a whole lot more notaries. I'd probably be doing 80 a month. But with me doing the house inspections, I'm knocking out those. So I'm fine with this. But so you got notaries who are trying to get more money. And a lot of times they'll pay you and they blacklisting you. So if you're a notary and then you have what's going on, Tennessee, my lady Mary. So one of the other issues is, and I know I might sound a little bit all over the place because I got all these thoughts running through my head, trying to make sure I cover everything. One of the other issues is notaries being late. So you can have a good profile. You have a good profile. You can, and also with that profile, you need to have a good professional picture, which I've talked to y'all about. None of this. I mean, my picture don't look nothing like what I'm looking at. I got that's from like 10, 15 years ago. So I'm just using that. At least somewhat looks like me. But all this here pictures of you in the background, standing by trees with the wind blowing in your head, all of that, sitting up here in your Phi Beta Kappa and all of that kind of stuff. Nah. They want a professional picture, okay? And many pictures out there, all you got to do is go to what's that thing? What is that thing? Notary Resume, and look at some of the pictures out there. I know people do pictures of them trying to look like they're in the office. They just want a headshot of you. They don't care about the foliage in your house. They don't care about how big your computer is. They want to, I'm stamping. They don't care about that. They want just a picture of you. Okay. Ladies, they don't want to see all of this down here. Okay. They don't want men. They don't want your chest hairs from. They don't right here. This is what they want. Just give them that. Okay. Stop trying the big thing, at the club picture, and then you got somebody hand here and all that you done cut out. Picture you look. None of that stuff. Okay. Your profile shouldn't be talking about what your favorite sports teams are. None of that kind of stuff. Okay. None of that. Okay. You need to just have a professional. Everybody is always talking about how professional they are, then give them that. So your profile, your profile straight, you're doing good notary work. The biggest problem they're having now is notaries not showing up. And one of the things that notaries are doing, they're trying to, they get an order. They're like, well, I'm gonna just take this $85 order. Then out of nowhere, the opportunity comes up. Well, when you say lowball, again, let me always define lowball as this. And this is what I mean, lowball is typically defined as between when two or more people have an agreed upon price for something, and then one person tries to do it for a much lower price. So if I'm selling this glass of eggnog, if I say, yeah, I normally sell my glasses of eggnog for $2.75. And then the person comes and says, okay, well, I'm gonna pay you $1 for it. That's a low ball offer because I've already stated what I'm going to pay you. I've already stated it. Okay. And we have an agreement that I'm going to pay you this fee. And then if I come back and renege on that and try to give you something different, to me, that's a lowball offer. But I know people are looking at it as compared to the other companies and other things, but each company's independent. So for this company that wants to pay 60 and this other company wants to pay 100, yes, you can say that's a lowball offer when you compare the $60 company to the $100 company. But if the $60 company, that's what they've always paid forever and a day. Now, if they're saying we're going to pay 60 and then you get there and they start offering you 30, to me, that's you're lowballing me now, because now you're going back on what you actually said. We agreed on this and now you're giving me something else. No different than like in your W-2. Yeah, like one job was supposed to be, I'm thinking they said, I said, how much the job paid? They was like, it pays 48 to 50,000. I was like, all right, 48 to 50,000. As long as I'm 48 to 50, I'm good. I get the offer sheet back and it's for 45. And I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute. That's 45,000. And they're like, yeah. I said, but y'all told me 48 to 50. Why? And then it was like, they came up with all these reasons why. And I was like, okay, well, then I ain't taking it, because you didn't say that. You didn't say it was contingent on ... So I ain't doing it. And then they came back and said, all right, well, what we'll do is if you can get these here certain qualifications done within a certain amount of time, then we'll go ahead on and give you the 48. And I was like, all right, cool. So I had them put that in writing and I took it for 45. And after 3 months, I did what I had to do and I started getting my 48. That was them trying to lowball me, because it was agreed. They knew that I was supposed to be getting 48, but they wanted to give me 45. But when you're working with some of these companies and they're not telling you what they pay, they're just, and you look at their terms of service, they're saying when you accept the order, you accept the order for the agreed upon price that we list, that we put out there, published it, which is whatever they said in the order. But that's their business model. And if you take time and go back to, and this isn't to Paula directly, no, this is to everybody. You go back and look at my video on business model, you got to understand that company's business model, because why one company is willing to pay 175 and another company is only willing to pay 85. They got different business models. There's smaller companies out there, notary companies, that will pay 125 a pop, and then there's bigger companies that only pay 75. So why do they do that? It's because that's their business model. Okay. But what dictates that business model, I have no idea. What makes them choose to do it that way, I have no idea. They have their own internal reasons for doing it, you know. So now you again, as I always talk about, you have to decide, and what I'm sharing with you is the same thing that I've done. Is I had to make up my mind, what is it that I really want? And again, I got a video about that. What is it that I want? To have a certain amount per signing or per month. I understand that everybody can't do 50, 60 signings, but you need 5 or 6 grand. So you're trying to find a way to make 5 or 6 grand, but only doing 20 or so signings. I don't know how you're going to do that in every area, because each area is different. So you got to take that 20, you literally got to sit there and say, 6,000 divided by 20. So you're talking about, yeah, $300 a signing. As I've always said, the question is, are the companies in your area going to, throw that out there? Are they going to do that? So, and what you're saying then, Paula, is that you're basing it, and see, this is where, so you're saying that if I have to do this, and this, I should get paid more. So, and I think that opens us up for the reverse, meaning a company could turn around and say, well, all I'm asking you to do is this. So then I'm only going to pay you 50. And see, how do you value that? Then how do we get the company to say, I value scan backs at $25. I value you doing the signing at 85, and I value you driving and traveling there at another $25. How do we, you know what I'm saying? Because your value of that versus another person's value, some person might say, well, I value doing scan backs at $50 because they might not even have a scanner. They might have a flatbed scanner and they got to do it one page at a time. So they might have a whole lot more effort to put in there. Then some people are charging extra for scan backs because they don't even have a scanner. They got to go pay FedEx and daggone UPS to do the scan for them. So, but then you take into account all of the tax deductions that we get, the 56 cents a mile. So it's like, so it, and I hate to say it, but I mean, to me, it's almost like we're saying we want them to take care of us like like we're their employee, to cover us for every little thing we do for them. And they're like, you're an independent contractor. We got this flat fee here. Now you got to go make it happen with that. Because as a business, they get a flat fee for their company. I guarantee you they're not saying, okay, well, we're doing $700 for title coverage or title search. And it's also, and that $700 for each title search they do does not cover everybody's salary and all of that. So they're doing volume. They're trying to do volume. Like one lady told me that on the last day of the month, they did she said they had 85 signings. Her company had 85 signings. So let's just take that 85. Let's just say they paid 20. If they paid $300 for all 85 of those signings, that's $25,500. Okay. That's how much they will pay out in notary fees. In order for them to pay us 300, somebody has to be paying them enough money so that they can have their profit. But I know most notaries don't care about that. That's on them. Just like they're saying that's on you. It's on you to make it happen. So the lender pays the title company a fee. The title company pays the signing company a fee. And each business entity has to figure out how to make their business work within the confines of that fee. And notaries are saying, well, I'm doing this, so give me more. Those title companies can say, we're doing a whole lot more than you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on now, let's, work with me and everything. So, but see, a lot of this is also driving notaries not to get anything, because a lot of the notaries who are doing this are the new notaries. As somebody told me, they sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post where the lady was saying she's countering every single, for the whole week, she was countering every single order. And it's like, you ain't taking up no time, lady. You ain't taking up no time. This is open for everybody. So, and there's the link if anybody wants to join the live. But y'all have listened to people in all of these different spots that are saying stuff, and y'all not challenging any of them. Somebody put out today talking about it's a federal law or how you supposed to handle a right to cancel. Did anybody challenge that person out there on Notary Cafe? Did anybody challenge them? Somebody on Notary Cafe said, well, the first $40 of a $85 signing is nothing but expenses. Did you challenge them on prove that to me? You got all these people out there on Notary Cafe talking about it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that, and nobody is challenging them. Nobody, none of y'all who hear this stuff is challenging them. You're like, oh, okay, well, I guess so. Even earlier, somebody asked me a question based off of something they heard on Notary Cafe. Somebody said, well, all I do is print on letter and nobody bothers me about that. Well, who told, okay, what companies are you working for? Maybe they don't care whether it's printed on letter, because there's other companies that want it on letter and legal and they put it in the daggone instructions. So you're telling me that you see the instructions say print letter and legal, but yet you don't print letter and legal. So that means you're not following directions. So now a new notary hears that, and then guess what? You go and do what? You go ahead on and do what that person said. Well, so and so who got 50 years in the business said this. You didn't challenge them. You didn't find out the details about it, and then you go out there and do it, and guess what? You get blacklisted. You're listening to these folk, and they're causing you to get blacklisted. These folk are lying to you. Okay, I don't know what it's going to take for y'all to get this. These old heads allegedly, possibly, could be lying to you. You really got to think about that, okay? Now, all of this leads into why people aren't getting orders. So you got all these new notaries. Wow. Oh, okay. I got to change the light bulb in my light. Okay, I ordered that tonight. You got all these new notaries. Yeah, I see Lisa trying to hop in and everything. And all of that. So you in Newport News, taking orders, Newport News, Hampton, to get my time. I mean, look, you get 56 cents a mile. I'm driving about, let's just say I'm driving 1,500 miles a month. If I'm driving 1,500 miles a month, from a tax deduction standpoint, 0.50, I can't type for nothing, 0.56 times 1,500, that's 840 miles of tax deductions you get, dollars of tax deductions you get. So you drove and so you have a tax deduction for your mileage of 840, and then you multiply that times 12, that's 10,080. But here's the problem. You ain't taking any orders. So if you're not taking any orders, you don't get the 56 cents a mile, because you listen to Fred out of Clubhouse. I mean, not Clubhouse and Notary Cafe, that said they don't do this, that, or the other. So you say, I ain't doing this, that, or the other. And guess what? You ain't making no money. You're not getting any of that. And you've been in this 13 months. How many signings do you have, Paula? That's the question. Do you have 100, 200? I will hope you probably got around 300, well, about at least 200 signings, and everything. So they have decided, some of the companies have decided, let me get my squid going on. Yeah. So, and that company who she's dealing with, don't say the company name, lady. Don't say the company. I don't want companies coming at me because I'm not going at them. But they pay 75. That's what they pay. There's some company that's all they pay. Okay, you got 300 signings. As I think me and you talked, then we got to look at profile. Again, if you got certain training programs in your profile that these companies aren't cool with, just like the I'm giving away donuts and busting up on people and all of that kind of stuff. Um, right. Don't forget the deductions for per notary stamp. So in Virginia, for every stamp that you do, you can deduct $5 off of your self-employment tax. And I did a video about that. And talk to your accountants. So there's all these deductions that we get that puts money back into us. And a lot of people are fussing and worrying about, I want 300 versus 100. But here's the thing, you can't take advantage of any tax deductions if you ain't out there doing the work. So you're clamoring saying you want this dollar amount, but you're not getting any kind of, you're not doing any kind of work. So that that's the key. So part of what they're doing now is they're literally are saying, if you don't have this number of signings, we're not messing with you. Because they found out notaries are lying about them, about their background. Notaries are saying all kinds of stuff that's not true. And again, you got the snitches, and they're finding out and they're telling on you. And now they're saying, how are we going to filter them out? Okay, we're going to set the bar at 200. So if you've been in the business for 6 months, it ain't no daggone way you got 200. And then notaries are also saying, well, I got 85 signers under my belt, but they're all over here in SnapDocs, or I don't put them in SnapDocs. I just put them in Notary Assist and Notary Gadget. So nobody can't see it, but I do have it. They're like, I ain't taking your word for it no more. Because one of the things that's happening is that it's causing the post closing. After you do the signing, it goes to a group called the post closers, and they review everything that we do. And what they're seeing is people don't know how to notarize. That is what's screwing them up. So you don't know how to notarize. You don't get documents signed. Lady told me that they didn't get the documents, the loan application signed. They didn't get the AKA statement signed. None of that. So you send back documents that don't have any of this stuff done. If the title company or the lender sees this stuff that's all jacked up, they're telling the schedulers, don't use that notary ever again. And a lot of the stuff that's causing these issues is because you're listening to these folk in these forums that are just straight up lying. What's happening with the split screen is he's joined the live stream. And if you want to join the live stream, ask a question or whatever, there's the link. But and everything. So you have all of these things, and lastly, before I let my man talk, she also told me that there's notaries out there that will call her up and say, what is the note? They don't even know what the note is. So again, my soapbox, you done paid all this money for people's courses to learn how to run the business, market, all of that. And people are now saying, as I was getting ready to say before I allowed myself to get distracted, you coming in there with all of these marketing techniques of gift baskets and stuff. Some of these title companies that you're going to trying to get direct to, they don't like that. They're like, you bringing up here in this pandemic food, and we don't know where your hands been. We don't know where that food been, and you dropping stuff off. You're official officer of the state, and you up here handing me $5 gift cards in order for me to give you some work. That sounds like bribery. I mean, it may not look right. I'm just telling you, it don't look right. So you got to be mindful about listening to everybody out there. Okay. And lastly, when y'all call me and ask me certain questions, trust me, I already know that you heard something from somebody else and you just calling to see what I'm going to say. And that's fine. But it doesn't matter what I'm saying. What matters is what you're going to do. Because if they said one thing and I said something different, that's different what they said, and they said something different than me, the bottom line still rests on you. What are you going to do to make sure you following the right information? Yes, I could be wrong. Yes, they could be wrong. They could be right. I could be right. The bottom line is you got to make sure you're doing what's right. What you got for me, man?
Oh man, Griff. So a couple things. So on SnapDocs, one of the things I saw, and I don't know if this made a change or not, but I saw a video a while ago that said you should put all your signings into SnapDocs. And so that's one of the tactics that I've done, regardless of whether it's signing order, Notary Go. I put all my stuff in there, just like I do with Notary Gadget. And I'm not sure if it helped or not, but I seem to be getting title offers now inside of SnapDocs. Obviously, I've increased the amount. I know that the last time we were talking, you thought that was at 60. And so I'm barely like at 40, I think 42 signings. But it's more than doubled since last month. So getting more familiar with what I was doing from last month. But
Right.
like I said, like I start seeing Old Republic title like often, so which I'm not sure if it's because like one, I'm doing a good job, but where my amount of signings are, who knows? But I did have the opportunity to go meet them. They wanted to check a stamp. They're like, oh, they're pretty particular on the stamp.
Yes,
So I actually went back in. I went back. They're like, oh, this particular county, they want a stamp a certain way. So they're like, can you stop by? I'm like, absolutely. So I dropped the docs off. And then I restamped while they're there. And then they asked me for my business card. They're like, hey, we don't have anybody in your area. So like, definitely will utilize you guys. So without, it wasn't marketing. I didn't market anything. Literally, I
Right.
just gave them like
Yeah,
what
it's
my car
organic.
was.
Yeah, it's an
It was
organic conversation based off of you doing work.
absolutely. And then now that's gone over to more signings, and obviously I took one this weekend. It was like supposed to be on Friday morning. It was the double signing. I clicked so fast. It was like 6 a.m. in the morning. I was preparing for my other Friday stuff and I took it and I was like, okay, this is going to be a big day because I think it was going to be 6 signings that day, including those two. And obviously, you know how I work full time as well. So luckily, those two people like they didn't cancel; they moved it to Sunday, so I was able to take the 2 on Sunday. But this was from Old Republic Title, so it was a buyer sellers package for $380. I'm like, that is crazy. So obviously, I'm no great person like at this. I'm just going along it as well, but I think it's imperative for everybody to take signings and that other people are not going to necessarily take, and it's
Yeah.
experience. Like I'm not there. If I get to 100, 200, 300 signings, that's phenomenal, but I'm not there, and I take like every step of the way. I'm like, I'm learning. This is what the whole idea is. It's a business. It's not supposed to just happen overnight. I can guarantee you go back to any rich person, their business didn't happen overnight, no matter who it is. What, like, I talked about Master P. I'm pretty sure Master P didn't just wake up and say like, I'm rich tomorrow.
Right.
He had a lot of work to do, way back in the day with No Limit and stuff like that. You look at
Hmm.
all the people who are at the top of the world, they had to work at whatever their craft was. And I think that sometimes like there's this like sense of urgency to make it happen like tomorrow. And I don't think that happens. I definitely don't think it happens. And, I'm doing this part time, but obviously I want to still increase. I want the numbers, the amount increasing, of orders to increase, but me not make errors. I don't want to make errors because that's not good for business either. Especially with these people, these borrowers at the table. So, yeah, yes, Iris, that's exactly correct. I agree with you on that. It absolutely
Yeah.
is a process.
Yeah. And one of the other things is so, like, at the end of each calendar month, they have what they call last day for signings. So, and it's typically the right to rescission plus 1 day. So you can look at the calendar, the rescission calendar, and pull it up and see, okay, when is the last day of rescission in that month, whether it's the dirt. So that means something that's on the 26th and it's the 30th or something like that. What the person told me at this signing company said, notaries have been calling them. Now, again, they had 85 closings in 1 day. 85. That one company had 85 closings across the US that they was dealing with. And they said they had at least 5 notaries calling them, asking them, make me a preferred notary. On the last day of the month for them to do, the last signing day of the month for them to do 85 signings, and you're bugging me about making you a preferred notary. In their mind, the first thing they come and say, well, why aren't you taking any signings? Why are you must not be doing any work because you're calling me. Then they're also trying to figure out, well, first of all, you haven't even done any closings for us. So here you haven't done any closings for us, but yet you want me to make you a preferred. And I know people are being taught that, whether through Facebook, a trainer, a mentor, TikTok, Instagram, wherever. They're being taught that and they're like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. Is it? Is it really a good idea for you to be calling somebody and saying, make me a preferred notary and you ain't done jack with them? Ain't a man or woman on this earth that's in this here live would accept somebody saying, hey, if you're single, hey, you need to marry me. Just walk. Is there something else like no, I don't want them daggone Siri. I mean, if somebody, I mean, just imagine some dude come up to a lady like, yo, girl, hey, hey, come on now. Look at me. Look at my whip. Come on now. You're like, whoa. You don't just make him your preferred man. You don't make her your preferred little lady. You get, okay, prove yourself. Single women say it all the time. Okay, you ain't gonna come up around my kids until I know you straight, because I don't want my kids getting the wrong impression. But yet you hop in this notary business and it's like, hey, you need to make me preferred. Let me get around your kids and stuff. And the kids for them are those loan documents and their customers. So you want to come around their kid and you ain't even proved yourself. They don't know who you are. So they told me, they said notaries, there's some notaries are doing good work, but their attitude and the way they're going about relating to them is not professional. They won't get the documents shipped out on time. They won't scan back. And then if they say, then they're saying, well, you got to pay me more money to do. So you did a flawless job. And then it's like, okay, blacklisted. And once you get blacklisted by certain companies, other people will also blacklist you. Notaries aren't showing up to work, to the signings. They're not, and so they got a thing in there called no call, no show. So if you don't call the customer, you don't contact the company, and you don't show up, guess what? They put that comment in there. And some companies have a criteria that if you have a no call, no show on your profile, they're not using you no matter how good you are. Even if you just got one. That's their business model. That's their right. But what we're trying to say as notaries is, no, 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 no. That doesn't apply to me. I'm going to act any old kind of way I want, but your criteria and your standard is not going to apply to me. So I'm going to act a fool and you're going to keep using me. And they're saying, oh, we can act a fool too and not use you. So this is the thing that we have to understand. And all of these things, I don't know what a note is. I don't know how to notarize. And I keep saying over and over, never call the signing company to ask them how to notarize a document. Call me, call Caprinas, because you call somebody who you can trust and rely on, and that's going to not ask you to pay them a bunch of money just to help you out. Call the NNA or what have you. Look at the videos I have, all of that, because you never want to call the signing company and say, how do I sign this? How do I do this? You know, right. And this, and then Priscilla here, I did an interview with her, and she's a underwriter, so she knows what she's talking about and everything. Um, So now anybody else hop on in here, because my man Caprinas, he always hop on. He always got something great to say, because y'all be calling me. Okay, you new in the 804 area, Lisa. So Lisa, try to see if you can hop on again and everything. I got your comment. So you up there in the Richmond area and everything. So it is time for you as notaries to make people prove themselves to you with the information that they're sharing. Um, if they're telling you to do stuff, then they need to prove it. Like the guy said today, talking about it's a federal law on how you're supposed to handle the right to cancel, but yet he didn't quote what the federal law was. He didn't show what the federal law is. That's a red flag, in my opinion. If you're going to sit here and say, well, according to this, but you don't show me the verbiage behind it, then I ain't got nothing to do with you. Okay, nah, come on now. And then they're saying that, well, I've been a notary for 20 plus years. If you've been a notary for 20 plus years, you should be able to show me something, some type of documented proof that what you're saying is valid. If you can't do that, then I ain't listening to you. And we do that in every other area of our life. You go to, if you a person who goes to church, unless the pastor show you chapter and verse, I don't want to hear it. Y'all, you know, people are sitting up there and they like, okay, yeah, you just spent 20 minutes preaching, but ain't went to one scripture. I'm not, I ain't taking a word you say, show me chapter and verse. But then we get in this business and we listen to certain folk in here and they ain't got to show you anything. All they got to do is say, well, I've been, so listen to what I say. And then you're like, okay. And then you get out there, why am I blacklisted? Could you listen to Fred? And then Fred is sitting up there laughing. That daggone fool, young notary. Look at them listening to me and my lies. And then next thing you know, they running off to the bank and they got their sons, their daughter, and all their little cool club people taking all the orders that you sitting up here somehow I ain't gonna take them. And they got their sons, like I got my son, he out there knocking out the $75, the $85 orders and making himself some money. He done got 11 under his belt since July. So he out there doing his thing, and he's at the point now where he can go and do it by himself. So does he get a lot of the notifications? No, because he falls in that realm of not having a lot of signings because they've changed their criteria. But he's taking as many as he can when he can. And then if I can get something passed on to him, I will. You see what I'm saying? So that's what needs to happen. And that's part of the reason why people aren't getting signings, because these companies have now changed their method. And unfortunately, we keep bumping our gums on Clubhouse, Facebook, and all these other places where there are spies. Not that these companies are paying people, but I mean, think about it. If I know Caprinas, I think you're in Southern California, right? Northern California. So he's in Northern California. I'm in Northern California. I hear him saying that he's knocking out, 25, 30 a month. Okay, that's my competition. Okay. And then I hear him say something that might be a little questionable. That, yeah, one of the ways I get through my signings is, I go head on and notarize everything the night before, which I know he wouldn't do that. But if he says something like that, well, what's the smart play for me? Well, he's my competition. He's doing something illegal. Let me record this and then go give it to the signing. Matter of fact, they ain't even gonna know it came from me. So I send it to them on a Monday, and then Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, I'm saying, hey, I'm gonna do notary. I like to, and I don't notarize ahead of time. And now they got this in there for, oh, Prentice notarizes ahead of time, and Fred doesn't. Well, let's give Fred a try. You cannot put this past anybody. But the problem is notaries are coming into this business thinking that everybody's going to be nice and sweet and that there's no real competition and everybody is patting each other on the back. And it's not like that. This is the most cutthroat business that I've been in, because you got people just flat out lying about stuff, telling everybody how much money they shouldn't make. Don't do this, don't do that. Print two side. I mean, all this stuff that none of the companies that are paying us want us to do. And you've been in this business 10 years, 15, 20 years, but you're telling people to do stuff that you should know that these companies don't want us doing. That's the part that's really disheartening, that the senior notaries are doing this. So yeah, I'm calling out Notary Cafe because that's where I hear the most that coming from, that senior notaries on Notary Cafe are doing that. And yeah, and one of the things, I went out there one time a couple of months ago, and somebody was asking a question and nobody was giving them a legitimate answer. And I think I gave them the answer, and then I said, if you want, take a look at my YouTube channel, and I have a video about such and such. About a month later, I get a notification from Notary Cafe. Yeah, members on Notary Cafe said that you've been spamming people with links to your website or to your YouTube channel. I'm like, you dirty dogs, you. Y'all want to sit up here and lie to people and all of that. And then I was like, you know what? I canceled my Notary Cafe subscription. I think my whole profile should be off of it. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. But yet you want to sit here and keep lying to people and give them a bunch of false hope and false narratives. So I'm asking for y'all. These people who claim to have the answer, that's claiming, well, you don't have to do this, you can just print on letter. Okay, what companies are you working with? So you're telling me, because the question I would ask, are you saying, Mr. or Miss, I only print on letter, that I have the right and the ability as the notary to determine whether I'm going to waste my paper printing on legal and letter and just decide whichever one I want. Are you telling me that I have that right, that ability to go against what the signing company has told me to do or the lender who has told me to do? I can do my own thing and not get in trouble because you aren't getting in trouble. Are you telling me that? If that's what you're telling me, then I need to know that. Because and what I'm saying it doing is talking about getting some documented proof. Because if you're saying that, put it put it in writing. Put it in writing and say you don't have to do the instructions that are in those loan packets. Because that's literally what you're saying. So are you working with the same company that I'm working with? So if my company who told me to print on letter and legal told you to print on letter and legal, you're saying you're literally not going to do what they asked you to do. Okay, hey company, they said they're not going to do that. Why are you letting them do what they want to do and I have to follow your directions? This is really the conversation that we do have in any other area of our life, especially at our W-2. The person coming talking about like in certain security areas, you when you badge in, everybody has to badge in independently. And then you got the guy that's like, I'm just gonna, pick, trail on you and not badge in at all. Well, why do you get the badge? Well, I don't have to badge. I ain't badging in for nobody. Okay, I got to go talk to security. Security, why does Fred doesn't have to badge in when you say the rules are in the law and we agree, sign an agreement saying everybody knows that you have to badge in individually. You have to badge out individually, but Fred won't do it. Fred sits there and waits for somebody to leave, and then he walks behind them so he doesn't have to badge in and badge out. Why does he get to do it and I don't? Now, you would do that at your W-2. You need to do that in this business because this is your business and you need to make sure that you're doing stuff correctly. That's why I put out the thing about about the hustler versus the entrepreneur. I'm telling y'all, it's too many hustlers in this business, too many people trying to be, braggadocious about being a hustler rather than being a business owner. I mean, when Jay-Z became a part owner, if anybody paid attention and remember, before Jay-Z became part owner of the Nets, which I don't think he is anymore, he did a transformation. He changed his whole image, him and his crew. And now he goes back to wearing just any old thing. But for a while, every time you saw him, he was in a suit. He was always pristine, looking like a regular entrepreneur businessman. He knew he couldn't become. They are not going to ask a hustler to be part owner of $1 billion franchise. The only way a hustler will ever be brought in is if he has a top cover of other entrepreneurs that he falls under them. But like 50 Cent, I call 50 Cent, and I know 50 Cent probably on his way to my house and everything because he always ready to roll up on somebody. But everybody looks at 50 Cent as a hustler. They're not going to just say, hey, 50, we're going to give you this slot here. They might put him out there as a front person, making it look like it's just him. But behind the scenes, I guarantee you, there's some other business associates that he's with that got him in check that you aren't going to say this, you're not going to do that. And that's what we got going on now. So I think we need to start being business professionals. Even in marriage, some marriages are considered business marriages or business relationships. You don't hear that term hustle. You always hear hustlers, people being hustler, moving into being a legit business person. You never hear a person saying, yeah, I'm a legit businessman, but I'm gonna fall back and be a hustler. Hustlers don't get LLCs. Hustlers don't get business, have any kind of relationships. They have strategic alliances. They have alliances that, Caprentice, you run that corner with your corner boys. I'm gonna run mine with mine. We don't pass this line. If I see you on my side, you see me on mine. Okay, you stay there, I stay there. Now we're not partners. We're not business. We don't have a business relationship. We have an alliance. We have an agreement, and then we'll come together against anybody who tries to mess up what we got. So I don't care for you. You don't care for me. But we're going to band together against that person who's trying to take what we both have gotten. Those are alliances. That's the kind of stuff hustlers do. Business owners come up with legit business relationships to grow not only themselves but the person who they're partnering with. But if you ever get in a relationship where it's one-sided, you don't consider that a true fair relationship, business relationship. You're like, okay, you're using me, you're taking advantage of me. In other words, you're acting like a hustler. Now, I'm not saying that you don't hustle, meaning get out there and work, but you don't act like a hustler where all you care about is what you getting and you don't care how many dead bodies you leave out there on the ground. Business owners care about their relationships because relationships are live. They are alive. They have breath in them. Hustlers don't care about that. And I know for the fellas, some of the fellas will be upset with me because a lot of the fellas like to brag because they're from this city or that county, this, that, and the other. Yeah, I'm a hustler. I'm an old dude from the street. Okay, that's fine. But at some point in time, what does this industry need? This industry is looking for business owners. They're looking for true entrepreneurs. They're not looking for hustlers. So you're in a business, you're in an industry that does not want hustlers. You're in an industry that want true business owners. What is so wrong with being a business owner? Being a business owner means you're going to be doing things legit, you're going to be doing things solid, and you're going to be accountable. Hustlers aren't accountable to nobody but themselves. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. When you look at the hustlers on the street, you look at any hustler, they ain't accountable to nobody. They just concerned about them. Some cases they don't even care about their own family because they just worrying about doing what their thing they're trying to do and all of that. What you got? What else you got, man? I know I've been running my mouth a whole lot.
No, it's always good information, Griff. No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. Just like, the people in the chat are saying, you always spit facts when you talk to us. That people just need to recognize, it is a true business. Don't try to be out there, trying to get over on somebody. Like take what comes your way and learn from it. It's not always going to be the best thing, but that's how you get better, is by learning from like the stuff that you do. But I don't think that people are trying to do that. I think that obviously your viewers are, but everyone seems to be like, oh, I can teach everyone what I do. And it's popping up. So many of these channels are popping up on YouTube. It's just like, what's going on? Like you're not providing really any good information. And then what's happening is people are trying to follow the best person. They're like, oh, I seen Susie B over here give this information, but Mark Sanchez over there is giving that information. Who do I go with? And they're like, oh, this Billy pops up. And in like at the end of the day, it's that, what is it, the analysis paralysis, where they're just sitting there like with all this inundated with information and they're not making a move, like get out there, start signing. What does it take for you to sign? Especially like when you give the stuff that you do, like on your channel, like the stuff that you provided, you have some really quality videos that help like a lot of people. I've been helped, that's why I support, I'm going to continue supporting somebody who I think is good for this industry. Like not everyone's going to be like me, and I'm not trying to get a pat on my back, but I think it's important for people to understand, like, hey, the people who are doing the right stuff, we need to make sure that we are taking care of them, because when we take care of them, then they can obviously give out more information. They can share more information. It's not like you don't ask me to say, hey, Copernicus, give me this, give me this, give me this. No, it's just like I do it because I appreciate what you do. And I know I've told you that in the past, but I'm sure like even the people on here have said it as well. Like the kind of information that you give, you could sell if you chose to. Not telling you to do that, but you absolutely could, and you're giving the quality information. But people don't want to go and do stuff. And I'll say it like this one other thing. There's a lot of bad information out there. I see stuff, and as you said, where are the receipts? Where's the proof? You don't challenge anybody else. I'll give you an example. I saw like on the forum, one of the forums that I'm on, it was a Facebook forum, and they were talking about that it was notarization on a it wasn't a Patriot Act form, but it was something similar. It was like I'm trying to remember what it was, an identification for all intents and purposes. And there's a line down there. It says notary seal. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know the laws of everywhere else in the United States. I sure know in California that you can't notarize something without notarial
Language.
language.
With the
And
language and them signing it. They have to sign it.
exactly.
And
And
I've done a
so
ton, and I've talked about this a lot in my videos. You're not supposed to sign that particular. I mean, you can sign it, but you can't notarize it. You can't put your seal on there. And the reason why they want the seal on there is because they want to know whether or not your stamp is valid.
mhm.
That's really what it is. Go ahead on, because I'm gonna pull up an example of one.
No, and so then like they've talked about this, NNA talks about this as well. And so like some of the people were chiming in and saying, "Oh, I put it there because it says notary seal." I'm like, okay, well, one, I'm not sure what your laws are, but I can guarantee, I'm guessing that that's not the case. But then someone says, "Oh no, that means you sign your signature." I'm like, "No, that's not." Seal with the parentheses around it, that's your signature, and that goes back to a law from 150 years ago. But people don't know that because people don't research. So I'm like, a notary seal on another page means notary seal, and that's what they're really asking you for right here. However, you still got to abide by whatever like the laws of your state are, your your notarial laws of the state. But it's just funny that people just spout out stuff. They're like, "Oh, I heard this somewhere else." You know that's what happened. They didn't look it
Mhm.
up. They just heard it from somebody else, and they're just regurgitating what they heard. It's pretty silly, to be honest.
Yeah. So here's one right here. This is what you're talking about. Different layouts, different formats, but essentially you're talking about this here.
Mm-hmm.
What this is saying, let me break this down to everybody. Okay. Notary certification. You're saying that you're basically saying that you certify under penalty of perjury that I am the authorized to act as a notary public in and for this state, and that I performed my duties as a notary public and have comply with all applicable state laws. Now note, it's asking you, it's telling you that you are saying that I comply with all applicable state laws. Then it said, I notarized the signature of so and so. The date of that was this. The ID presented was a driver's license or some other document, and it lists them here. The capacity of the signer was an individual or corporate officer, trustee, whatever. Then it has your information and signature. This here is saying that I, the notary, acknowledge that the identification as stated above was provided to me at the time the borrower and or co-borrower executed documents for a real estate transaction, and I have not provided borrower and or co-borrower with advice, counsel, or an opinion concerning the contents of the documents executed. Now that right there goes right in the face of everybody who keeps saying you need to say something about the documents. Because first of all, it's telling you you're saying that you have complied with your state laws. Does your state law support you giving all this verbiage and stuff the um about the whatchamacallit, about the documents? It's either yes or no. If your state law doesn't, then you shouldn't be saying so much. And then in here it's saying by signing this that you did not do this. So if you gave advice, if you gave counsel, if you gave an opinion concerning the documents that they executed, that's wrong. So now it says put your notary stamp or seal here. The problem is it told you at the top to follow your state law. If your state law says you're not supposed to do this, then why are you asking me to do it? Which goes all the way back to one of the things I've said over and over again. Do not listen to people who are asking you to do stuff that violates your state law. That's why I strongly believe that the notary trainers, and I really can't even say that they're notary trainers because they're not training you in anything notarial. And they all admit that. They are notary business trainers, but they're not notarial trainers where they're trying to teach you Right, the notary seal, yeah, it's the stamp or the actual press embosser. So it can be either one of those. Our state law simply says this, at least mine does, you're not to be notarizing your own signature. And because there's no signature from the other people, that's what that is. Now, I've also talked about this. What companies will do to get slick, is they will put up here, somewhere on here, a signature block for the borrowers. Okay, that's cute. But the problem is, this here is not notarial language. All of this down here is not notarial language, because notarial language says it was acknowledged before me on this date by so and so. This isn't saying that. This is saying that I did something. I, the notary. So, in my opinion, if this is going to be notarized, then we need another notary to notarize what I'm doing. I need to sign it, and then there needs to be, and then they need to add an all-purpose acknowledgement. Now you say, but they put the person's signature up here. They had John and Jane sign this. Okay, but is the language, and the NNA will tell you, if this language is not the proper notarial language for your state, you can sign this, but you cannot stamp that as if you're notarizing their signature, because that is not the proper notarial language. Now, you could add an all-purpose acknowledgement stating that you witnessed them signing this document. You could do that, but that's even sketchy, because what are they acknowledging? This is a document for you. They aren't acknowledging anything on here. There's nothing that they truly are acknowledging. There's nothing. So you're not supposed to do that. And what I was told was the reason why they want your stamp here is to prove that it's valid. To prove that your stamp is valid. Well, you know my stamp is valid because I've stamped 13 notarizations on your document. And you're not getting this until you get what? The whole loan packet back. So it doesn't make sense to me that you're asking me to put my stamp on something to prove that my notary was correct, that my stamp was, valid. It better be valid. But at the same time, I've heard in the past that notaries have there have been notaries that would what they would do, they would reuse their stamp and have an expired date on there and then cross it out. And hey, thank you very much, Keto. And they will, instead of, they're expired in 2020, they would just use the same stamp and then line out the expiration on the press that was pressed down on the document and put the new date. And that's not legal. So I get why they want it. But again, even the NNA section 2.3 of their code of conduct or code of standard says that we're not supposed to improperly or illegally notarize documents. So now this here, I don't stamp that. And I had in the past in the beginning, because I just went with what people told me. Well, stamping and line through it. Well, I called the NNA, and the NNA said lining through it doesn't invalidate it. So I'm like, if it doesn't invalidate it, then I ain't doing it at all. And I haven't had anybody come back at me with that at all. Like, okay, well, we're not going. I'm like, so what you're saying is you're going to blacklist me for following the law. That's a dangerous thing, to blacklist somebody, to prohibit them from moving forward in their business by doing what is right when you're asking them to do something that is wrong. So I tell them, I said, look, then show me. And when I'm talking to y'all about challenging people, I do it. They talk about, well, no, you need to sign this. You need to stamp this. Okay, show me where I need to. Well, that's just what we always done. I got that. But if you're always doing it, then you should have some proof to support why you're doing it. So why are you doing it? Well, that's just the way we've been told to do it. That's where the problem comes in, people. Folks sometimes are just pulling stuff out, shaking it off, and saying, "Here," and you're like, "Okay," and then wonder why you blacklisted. You know, when in doubt, hit up the NNA. So I'm a bounce, y'all. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I hope I covered everything. Got to go pick the wife up. But the bottom line is simply this: know your state laws, follow your rules, don't allow people to bully you um into doing something that's wrong. I mean, that's now let me go back to what everybody's really want to know. How do you get work? Because somebody asked that earlier. I don't know, because it's no different than a W-2. Let's just say, okay, well, years ago they had the requirement, all you needed to do was have a high school diploma and you get a job. You just graduate from high school and you can get you a job, work it for 30 years, get a pension, and everything's good. Then it went to, okay, now you got to have a college associate degree. Okay, for people who 25, 30 years old, they done, they feel they passed their prime and going to school. How do you get associate degree? How do you do that? I mean, how I'm going to go back and do that? And people were losing their job because they didn't meet the criteria of having an associate degree. Now you got people saying, well, no, you got to have a bachelor's degree. Now you got to have this. Now you got to have that. It's like, I don't have an answer. I honestly don't have an answer as to how. Yeah, I got to get a new light bulb. How you are to get an order when they've shifted. I will say this for those of you who've been following me from the time I've been on here. If you ignored what I was saying and just like, well, I ain't gonna get no sign, man. Griff don't know what he's talking about. I ain't taking no order unless it's dot dot dot. Now it's biting you in the butt because January, February, March, if you would have did 10 a month, 15, whatever, you will be probably around 100 signings by now. But you're like, nah, I'm gonna do what they said on Facebook because I am worth more than that $85. What saying that you're worth more is like, to me, that old saying they talk about somebody representing themselves in a court case as their own lawyer. Okay, y'all know what the saying is. I ain't gonna say it. I don't want Facebook banning me or nothing. But you there's certain things that you don't do for yourself. I mean, just like you don't operate on yourself. Okay, you don't do that kind of stuff. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't know what the answer is to say, how do you get more signings? Like, okay, they're just going to give them to me. But what I can say is, if the signings come and the opportunity for you to take one comes, then do it. Say you're available. Okay, I can, if they have it for 3 o'clock, you don't get off till 3:30, reply back, I can do it at 5. Something to that effect. Say I'll do it at 5. Okay. If you see something saying trailing docs, and yeah, it might only be paying $25, daggone it, do it. Just do it. Don't call me when you get a signing offer and asking me, do you need to accept it? Contact me after you reply to them. Because too many times notaries will call me and say, well, Griff, should I accept this? I don't know if this is a good deal. Okay, when did you get it? Well, I got it like 5 minutes ago and I figured I'd give you a call. Did you reply back to it? Well, no, I was going to wait till I finished talking to you first. You might get hung up on. I'm not trying to be funny, because don't base that waiting on me. If you get an offer, hit I am available. And keep in mind, they are not asking you. People say, I accepted it. No, you didn't. You said I am available. The only time you are accepting the order and it comes to you when you reply back is when you're on bank serve and signature closers. When you're on signature closers and you hit that button, that order belongs to you. When you're on bank serve and you hit that button, it's yours. On a lot of the rest of them, all you're doing is saying, I am available. You're letting them know that you are available, and then they make a determination whether or not they're going to give you the order. That's why I say, if you know you can't do it at 4 o'clock, if you know you can't do it at a particular time, that's okay. Tell them a different time, because I've been given orders that, hey, we saw that you said you were available at 6, and the time changed. The title company can't get the documents ready until about 5. So are you okay with still doing it at 6? Yeah, because the notary who said they could do it at 4 might be booked at 6, so they can't do it at 6. So now they're throwing it back out there. Man, this thing is really bad. Sorry about all the flickering, y'all. The lights going out and everything. So that's what you're dealing with. So think and be creative. Now, see, nobody is talking about that. I've never heard anybody say that. Yeah, they're telling me on Facebook and on Notary Cafe that if an order comes in at 2 o'clock and I don't get off until 3, to tell them I can do it at such and such time. You don't hear people talk about that. All it is, don't take the order. Don't make money, but keep paying me $300 for mentorship, but don't take the order. That's why I said the other day, bill collectors want you to work. The bill collector wants you to work, but your mentor, who you paying $300 a month to, is telling you don't take orders. That ain't no mentor. Let me tell you right now to your face, that is not a mentor. No mentor should be, no business mentor, anybody should be telling you don't make money without some justifiable reason. And saying what you're worth, that I'm worth something more, is not a valid reason. Your kid comes to you asking for, $20 a day or $20 a week for allowance. Well, I'm your kid, so I'm worth, like, just because you my kid don't mean you getting $20 a week for allowance. Okay, what you gonna do with $80 a month? Who you spending it on? What you spending it on? Well, I am your child. Okay, and I do everything else for you. Well, I'm your notary. Okay, well, I get the orders for you. I find the good companies that's going to pay you and all this, that, and the other. I'm going to pay you so I can give you this order for 85. Well, I want 100. Okay, well, first do the $85 job for me. Let me see what you're made of. And lastly, and it was, I already knew this, but it was confirmed. The scheduler. Let me give y'all a secret to the whole world on how to try to get. And this isn't price fixing NNA or anybody else. This is just honest negotiation. One of the things that I say is simply this: if Caprinas contacts me about an order and I say he says I'm paying 85 and I want 100, all I do is just ask him simply this: what are you all? How close are you? Can you get to $100 without asking for approval? Because if you offer me 85, and we'll even take it down to 60, you offer me 60 and I want 100, how close can you get to 100 without asking for approval from your manager? Because remember, you're talking to Caprinas as the scheduler is an employee. He's not a business owner. The business owner told the manager, who told Caprinas, this here is your limit. So if the notary is good and you know you can trust them and they're going to do the job right, okay, we'll go up to 85, from 60 to 85. So if I'm asking for 100, they willing to give me 85, I'll take the 85 because that's a win for me. Because if I don't take the 85, then I'm gonna have to do it at 60. And then if I don't do it at 60, then guess what? I ain't making no money. You see what I'm saying? So now if you want to make some money, then what do? I just ask, how close can you get to 8 to like one time I wanted 100, and I said, how close can you get to 100 without getting approval? They told me straight up, well, I'm approved to go to 85. I said, what about 100? Or if I do 100, I got to get somebody to approve that. Now, here's the danger in getting somebody to approve that. Caprinas goes to get it approved, and Fred tells Caprinas, find another notary. Because that person, that manager, his job is what? His fiduciary duty is to make sure that his boss is making money. And he doesn't, and that means if the notary didn't want to accept Caprina's offer, that means the notary might be a problem. Because I told Caprina that he can go to 85, and 85 isn't good enough for him or her, that notary. Guess what? Let him go get somebody else. We ain't got time for that. And they go get somebody else for 60, and now you out of everything. So these are just common sense approaches, y'all. Okay, this isn't trying to do price fixing. This isn't trying to do, um, you know, say that's a hustle. Well, part of hustling, but see, at the same time, but see, a hustler would be like, give me 100. There's no negotiation. Hustlers don't negotiate. It's this is what I want. I want this. Caprina says, nah, I can't do that. And guess what the hustler says? I'm out. The businessman, the business entrepreneur, the businesswoman says, okay, if I take the 85 and I go out here and knock it out the ballpark, they're gonna think I'm a rock star. And it's last minute, and they need somebody, and they under the gun. Yeah, I want 100. Yeah, I want 125, but I'm getting more money than what I was before. You know what? I'm a roll with it. And see, and I've done that, and then sometimes I've never gotten a call back, but I still made me some money. I've made me some money, and that's the biggest question. Are you trying to make money, or are you trying to have bragging rights at Thanksgiving dinner by saying, "Well, I'll always get $150 every time I step out of my house." Okay, but are you making enough money to feed them kids and your family? That's my bottom line. That's my bottom line. So yeah, you got to read that article. You got to read that article that I have up there on the community tab. And let me show this real quick. You got to read this article. I'm telling you, you have to read this article. You have to read this article. This article is the truth. And I put in there when I found this article, I just Googled hustler versus business owner. And as it says here, a hustler slash seller is focused on money. They will try every which way to find their money and make a buck. They can take advantage of you and you won't even know how they did it. They are skilled at what they do and will draw you in to sell into a sale that you may not even necessarily need. Now, you think about all of these novice trainers out there and novice mentors that only been out here for a few months, and next thing you know, they're telling you you need to take my course. You need to take my training on this. You need to take my training on that. You need. And that's why I did that video about who is making you afraid. Because fear forces people to do stuff that they really shouldn't be doing. When you're scared, you'll do some of everything. So if you're afraid of failing in this business and you're unwilling to go do the research and the studying for yourself, guess what you're going to end up doing? You're going to operate in fear. They're going to tell you better take my course, because if you don't take my course, then you spend money on it and then you realize it wasn't all that. It was not all of that, and I'm still behind. I'm not even at square one. I'm square negative 5,000. I ain't got any further. So this is the only industry where I'm seeing people are falling in love with following behind novices. You and everybody keeps telling me, they're like, Griff, you're real, man. Yeah, I like you because you ain't trying to push and sell nothing. But then probably a lot of them, after they get off the phone with me, they pull out that credit card and slap it down on those people courses anyway. They slap it down and pay that person. They slap it down and pay. And I'm like, okay. And then I get the phone. I paid for that. And, yeah, you know what? You was right. That wasn't really it. So you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. You're sort of being off and on like this light doing. And me and I like gonna have a discussion because I told it not to do that and it didn't listen to me. So me and him gonna have a little discussion a little bit later on. But I'm gonna bounce, y'all. Going to pick up the wife. I appreciate y'all coming in. I hope I answered some questions. The bottom line is, you just gonna have to take every opportunity. I'm not saying you can't contact these companies. At least maybe shoot them a nice little email or something to that effect, and and all of that. I really don't have an answer. I wish I did, but I will say this: like in any relationship, when you've hurt somebody, it's hard for them to really trust. And you think about how many of these companies have been hurt financially by notaries doing practices that were not legit, that were not legal, that was just jacked up. They've been hurt and they've lost a lot of money financially. Their families have had to suffer. They probably lost contracts with companies and all of that. And they not probably that open to listening to somebody like you who just started a couple of weeks ago, because people who was in your position hurt them, and now you're in that same position. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can trust you. So I, I really don't know. I honestly don't know what to say or how to or what the resolution to that would be. But what I do know is if you hang in there, it's going to change. If you listen to some of the stuff that I've said about changing your profile, all of that, get all those club pictures off your stuff. Put Don't just have to be updated later in your profile. Get all that stuff out and be professional. Stop being a hustler. I think you'll see things change. And lastly, like I've always said, communicate that you understand the loan closing process in your profile. Don't talk about the history of being a notary. Don't talk about your favorite sports team. Don't talk about how you like to hang out with Man and TT and all of that kind of stuff. Just talk business. Stop trying to be slick and fast talk people. Just talk business facts. This is what I know. This is what I can do for you. This is what I know not to do. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear that you can trust you. So now communicate to the men, communicate to that girl who you who you hurt, how she can trust you. Ladies, communicate to that man how he knows he can trust you after you hurt him, or to whoever you may have hurt. Your parents, your kids, whatever the case may be. That's what you need to do. And when you're able to communicate that effectively and they see that you're sincere, then they're like, all right, I'm gonna give you a shot. And then you knock it out the ballpark. And then you'll be making the money that you need to be making. It's just that simple. All right. Well, y'all have a good one. Thanks for everything, people. Talk to y'all later. Peace.